the ETFs got approved. And people thought, oh, well, when the ETFs are approved, it may not be good for you because you're trading at a premium. But in fact, the opposite was true because we have a lot of Bitcoin and we're an operating company. So what you can do, or what MicroStrategy can do that an ETF can't do is...
That was Michael Saylor in that clip. And in today's video, just in a second, we'll be checking out more from that. He's going to be talking about why you should be investing into MicroStrategy, why MicroStrategy is so powerful, and he even compares his own stock to GameStop. I highly recommend you guys check this one out all the way to the end. This is an interview he did a couple of months ago. And before we get into that, make sure to subscribe, like the video, guys. We have new Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, crypto videos coming out every single day. But we can see here from the BTC therapist, he says the Bitcoin MST bull market multiplier is absolutely insane. We're going higher. So you can see the Bitcoin price, where it could potentially go, the MNAV multiplier, where that could potentially go, and where that leaves the MST stock price. You can see why so many people are excited about the future of MicroStrategy, because the stock could reach levels just like this. And Michael Saylor will be explaining just in a second how that could potentially happen. And then also from Matt here, he's saying that MicroStrategy, the market cap surpassing Coinbase, is the real flippening. We have Coinbase, who's focused on Ethereum and all of the other 1,000 altcoins out there, while MicroStrategy is focused on putting Bitcoin, the hardest asset in the world, on their balance sheet. And you can see those market caps are getting really close there. That flippening would be huge. And then from Sean, shout out to him, he's saying MicroStrategy looks like it is ready to absolutely freaking explode. Maybe that's what really kicks the Bitcoin bull market off. October time. So you can see right here, MicroStrategy hit its head a couple of times on this resistance level. Is it time for it to break through to new highs? We'll have to wait to see and see how October plays out in the rest of Q4. Let me know what you guys think about MicroStrategy in the comment section below. Do you think we're about to blast off? Or are we due for a correction? Put that in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and get into Michael Saylor talking about MicroStrategy. Let's go ahead and check out the clip.
You can borrow against our stock. It's marginable. You can leverage. We can leverage the stock. You can option the stock. We have options, puts and calls. You can short via puts. You can go long via calls. And you can buy our debt or trade it, and we can sell the debt. So all the other spot ETFs are not marginable. They have no options, and they can't issue equity capital via shelf registration. They really can't trade at a premium. They get basically arbitrage back to net asset value, and they can't issue convertible debt. Now, why would you want to issue convertible debt? Well, because if you're a convertible arbitrager, you want to find a company with three things. You want volatility, massive volatility. You want liquidity. You want to be able to trade in the spot market in order to hedge out your exposure. And you want durability or transparency. You want to know that the company as a going concern is going to continue. So if you think about companies like GameStop, they were very volatile and liquid, but that trade doesn't go on for years and years. And with our company, we're basically holding a bunch of Bitcoin. Everybody knows we stand for Bitcoin. Everybody knows we're going to buy more Bitcoin. Everybody knows we're not going to sell the Bitcoin. So we have credibility and we're durable. The S&P index has a volatility of about 12. Gold is 10. Real estate, 18. Apple, 20, 22. Tesla, 45. Bitcoin, 75. MicroStrategy is levered Bitcoin with a passionate shareholder base, 120 to 140, 150 something, but more than 100. Okay, so if you know the Black-Scholes equation, if you plug volatility in the Black-Scholes equation, it makes the option more valuable. Nobody wants to buy an option that has low volatility. So we stumbled on a very interesting opportunity because we're an operating company that can issue convertible debt, and we were able to appeal to a variety of investment classes. For example, one class of investors is public company investors. They want Bitcoin exposure. They can't buy Bitcoin. They can't buy the Bitcoin ETF. They can buy a company that does something with Bitcoin. It's like I can buy a gold miner, but I can't buy the gold and I can't buy the gold ETF.
Yes.
So they have billions of dollars of capital and they have to invest in an operating company. And we became the most notable, premier, and the most transparent company. You know, with MicroStrategy, we're going to buy Bitcoin, keep it, and try to accrete more Bitcoin per share. There's another class of investors, the Bitcoin maximalists. They love Bitcoin, but they have money in their 401k, and they can't buy Bitcoin with their 401k, but they can buy a stock like MicroStrategy. Now, why would they like us? Well, would you like to be able to borrow money for 7 years for no interest?
Exactly.
And buy
It's like
Bitcoin.
free money.
You would like to, but you can't.
Yes.
But we can. So if you like that prospect, they would buy our stock because they feel like they're along for the ride, right? They're getting advantage of our ability to get cheap capital to buy Bitcoin. Another reason is, would you like to borrow against Bitcoin from your bank? Well, you can't because the bank doesn't take the Bitcoin as collateral, but MicroStrategy stock is marginable. So you could pledge it as collateral and borrow it at SOFR plus 50 or 100 basis points. So that way you get to keep your Bitcoin and take a pretty cheap margin loan against it. So some people like that. A third class of investors want volatility. There's something called MSTR. It's like an ETF that sells MicroStrategy volatility.
Okay.
It generates 100% plus dividend yield. Okay, so if you just sell the calls, you could own the Bitcoin and sell covered calls out of the money or in the money, and then you generate some yield. So some people like that. The reason that they do it against us is because we have Bitcoin and we have options. There are billions. There's like $30-40 billion of open interest in the MicroStrategy option market. Well, there are no options on the spot ETFs, you see, and you can't borrow against them. They're not marginable. So we had this company that was optionable, marginable. It was high volatility Bitcoin equity, but it's also highly levered Bitcoin equity. So Bitcoin would go up and we would go up more. And so if you like Bitcoin, then if you like the idea of taking all your money and buying Bitcoin, you would like the idea of borrowing a lot of money for free and buying even more Bitcoin, right? So,
Yes.
So a lot of those people decided to buy in as equity holders. Then you get the haters, right? People that don't like Bitcoin. Well, if you want to short Bitcoin, then you could short our stock. But what if you wanted to short the stock with options and puts? Well, there aren't puts on the spot product, but there are puts on MicroStrategy. So you could go and you could buy, and there are billions of dollars of short options traded on our company. So there's those people. They just hate Bitcoin. Then there's people that are they're not sure, they hate our business. So like, we're going to short you and buy Bitcoin.
Okay, yes, exactly.
Right? And so you have those arbitragers. And then there are people, they don't even know what Bitcoin is. All they know is they can generate 100% yield.
It's going up. Yeah.
And then there's people that are the super option traders and they think, well, the options 6 months out are mispriced versus the options 3 months out. So I'm going to sell the options 6 months out and buy the options 3 months out, and I'm going to take advantage of that. And then you have the fixed income investors. They can only buy bonds, so they could buy our bond. And then you have the convertible arbitragers. They need a convertible bond, and they're going to actually short the equity, buy the bond, capture the yield. And then you have people, what if you wanted to buy Bitcoin at the all-time high, but you don't want to have the downside? What if you want 80% of the upside, 20% of the downside? Well, if we sell a bond and it's a $500 million bond, but we've got $5 billion of unpledged Bitcoin, you have this collateral, like 10-to-1 collateral, and you could say, well, Bitcoin would have to trade down by 90% before I'm in trouble. So if you're risk adverse and you want Bitcoin upside, but you're afraid to take 1-for-1 downside, you would buy the bond. And of course, you can construct any type of instrument you want by trading the bonds, the equity, and the options, and you construct whatever you want. So what happened then is MicroStrategy stock started trading a lot, billions and billions of dollars a week, and then billions of dollars a day. And then the options started trading. And so then we went back to the market and we did a bond issue, and I guess it was going to be about 500 million, but it got upsized and became 800 million. And we did that at 62 basis points at a big premium. So we basically sell the bond for 62 basis points, and then we buy the Bitcoin and we capture the yield difference, or we capture the premium. But then, of course, we basically borrowed $800 million for 6 years to buy Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up 24% a year, then you could double your money twice. So maybe you actually make $2.4 billion on the back end, some hundreds of millions of dollars on the front end, and you do it while you're paying 0.5% or 62 basis points interest. Right? The conventional wisdom is when you sell stock, you dilute the shareholders. But in our case, the more stock we issue or the more money we raise, the more we accrete. And so hundreds of thousands of companies have assets on their balance sheet which are dilutive. And Bitcoin is the first major asset which is accretive. So we turn the entire treasury strategy upside down by actually accreting assets. Today we have $15 billion of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And the operating company generates $75 million a year in cash flow. And the operating revenues are $500 million. So we made the balance sheet the primary part of the company instead of the P&L. Everybody else wants the balance sheet to go to zero or negative, and they want the P&L to be the primary part of the company.